Hello and welcome to this afternoon taste challenge. I'm going to keep that blinds closed because it's going to bring in too much heat. It's hot now in Louisiana, 90 degrees. Here is the Northern Lights, introduced in 1972 as the Northern Light, singular. And sometime, somewhere along the line, the name was changed to the Northern Light, plural. You'll see the light flashing on the Canadian maple leaf. As the light hits it, it makes green and yellow. There's the crown for the King of Canada, Charles III, although it was Queen Elizabeth in 1972. There's two lions holding up the crown, supporting it on the shield. This is produced in Canada by Sazerac Canada at their, I think, Montreal, Canada brewery, Montreal, Quebec brewery. It's 40% alcohol. There's no age statement. And it is bottled in Kentucky by the Sazerac Company at Buffalo Trace. And I got this bottle for the incredibly low price of $4.75. They had it on closeout. They wanted to go to the big bottles. So at Winn-Dixie, so I paid $4.75. True story. Not the normal price, so don't expect to pay that because you will not get it. Here's the competitor, Crown Royal Reserve or Special Reserve, introduced in 1991. No age statement. They claim it's the top 1% of the available Crown Royal barrels. Well, it runs about $40 to $45. So about $45 per bottle. Maybe you'll find it. I can find it for $42 right now. Greg Sorfleet says, I have never seen Northern Lights here at the LCBO, Liquor Control Board of Ontario. And I am in Toronto. Yeah, it's weird. It's been on the market 51 years. Some sources say 1971, but I'm going to go with 72. Was introduced by now it says on the bottle since 1879. Well, I'm telling you it's 1972. So why are they saying 1879? Well, let me tell you why. See the Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis? Because 1879 is when Hiram Walker, some of you Canadian viewers know what I'm talking about. 1879 was when Hiram Walker Distilling Company was founded. And they introduced the Northern Lights in 1972. But you know what happened? Hiram Walker got bought out. Yeah. Got bought out by Barton Distilling. And then in 2009, Barton was bought by the Sazerac Company. So, everybody buying out everybody. Apparently, in Canada, there is still a product called Hiram Walker whiskey. I have never seen it in the United States, but I wouldn't. I'm trying to get this dust off these little diamonds. I wouldn't be shocked if I saw it. See, this bottle has little diamonds on the bottle neck, which tend to collect dust. Dust, not dusk. See the little diamonds on that glass shoulder, the brown bottle. All right, so Canadian whiskey with natural flavors. If this was sold in Canada, it would say natural flavors, OURS. Bottled by Barton Imports, Louisville, Kentucky. Well, I called the company. They said we don't really have a bottling plant in Louisville, Kentucky, just some lawyers' offices. But it might be registered in Louisville. The bottling plant is in Frankfort, Kentucky. All right. We love to hear from our customers, sazerac.com. All right. Pretty popular product in Louisiana. Don't know about your area, but like in Ontario, you can't get it. Okay, let's see. Greg says LCBO is a major monopoly and one of the largest purchasers of alcohol in the world. You can count on them. He meant to say them. He said them catering to big brands. Oh yeah, like they're gonna have Crown Royal. So here we go. I'm opening the bottle or the bag. Crown Royal Reserve. Introduced in 1991 with the older label Special Reserve, but it still says Special Reserve on the bottle cap. See, Special Reserve. So, and there's the crown for King Charles III of the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha-Battenberg. Saxe-Coburg, Gotha-Battenberg, but they call themselves Windsor. I guess you can adopt whatever name you want to adopt. You can self-identify. All right. Robert Sleegers says, after 2 drinks, it does not matter what the bottle looks like. Okay. All right. Okay. The normal price is not $4.75. That's an outrageously low price. The normal price for this could be about $9, $10. Let's say $10. Although you could probably get it for cheaper than that, but let's say $10. You say, but $10 is like really cheap for whiskey. Exactly. So this is not a high-end brand. It is a low-end brand. Now, is there a Northern Lights Special Reserve? Yeah, there might be. And no, I cannot get it here. Watch me go somewhere tomorrow and see it. But yeah, so here's a fancy bottle cap, but it is just plastic. Okay. CR, Crown Royal. CR, Crown Royal. Now, Crown Royal Reserve did not do that well against the other Crown Royal products. In other words, it was maybe better, but really not. And it didn't justify the $45. Okay, but here's the situation at hand. Against all the other Canadian whiskeys I own, and it's a lot, so get ready for a bunch of challenges. And people might be saying, I ain't watching all that. I wouldn't take offense, but it's going to decimate all the rest of the brand. All the other Canadian brands I have, it's going to wipe them out. You see what I'm saying? So even though against its brethren in the Crown Royal stable, it didn't stand out, against all the other Canadian whiskeys I have, it's going to knock them. It's going to destroy them. It's going to destroy them. The cheapest whiskey of any variety I can find on the shelf is $29, says Greg. Yeah. Now look, in most states, you're not going to find a whiskey for $4.75. All right. In Louisiana, we don't really have the. Okay, let's see. Well, they might have the regulations on the books, but in practice, they don't really have them. Like a store manager told me, in Louisiana, it's illegal. It's illegal to sell alcohol for less than cost. In other words, if your cost was $6, you can't sell it for $5.99. Not even a penny less. But there's no real oversight. You know what I mean? It's like there's no way they're going to track that. No one's going to come examine that. So in reality, from what I've noticed, they clearly sell stuff below cost if they're trying to dump it, meaning get rid of it. Because there ain't no way Winn-Dixie bought that for $4.75. They were just willing to take a loss on it to get it out the store, get rid of it. Okay, so they're not buying it for $4.75 and marking it up to $9.99. I don't think there's that big of a markup. But the but okay, so that's just, now in other states like Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, they might be terrified to try to do that. Regulatory agencies might be very strict and say, "Oh no, you got caught," you know. But over here, it's like, you know, mm-mm. All right. Well, I'm taking advantage of it, as you can see. Crown Royal Special Reserve is $63.50 Canadian dollars. Oh, ooh, ooh. That is equal to 47 US dollars. $2 more. Man, the Canadian dollar is low, huh? I would think it'd be only a little bit lower than the US dollar. Like if our dollar, like a dollar, it would be, well, anyway, I can't answer for the exchange rate. All right. So I mixed them up. Maybe I'll go to Canada this week. Not this week, this year. I have a passport that's still valid. All right. Get ready for a blowout. There is no way. Now, okay, is the Crown Royal going to really justify the $45 versus the $10? Because I'm saying $10, even though I didn't pay that. Yeah, it's going to probably be worth it. But I don't know that because I haven't done the challenge yet. Secondly, am I going to be able to tell them apart? Absolutely. Is the Northern Lights going to have any chance of success? No way. Okay, so I'm telling you what's going to happen, and you're going to see it happen live on the air. There is no way it can survive. $1 equals $1.35 Canadian today. Man, and it takes $1.25 for US dollar to equal a British pound. It's $1.25 for a US dollar. So Canadian dollar versus British pound, that's bad. Hi, Ron, says KS. Do you remember generic beer? In other words, supermarket house brands from the 1980s. I think they were priced even below normal brewing companies' value brands. I remember them, but I do not remember drinking them because I never drank any beer until, I just did not drink beer. I had tried it in some very isolated occasions, but as a beer drinker, no, that did not start till February of 1996. So by that time, February 96, that had all kind of died out. But yes, I remember Time Saver beer, Schwegmann's beer. This was for the Schwegmann's supermarket chain, which went out of business in 1999, by the way. Now, did Schwegmann's have a brewery? No. It says Royal Brewing Company, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70119. I know that zip code, and that is Falstaff. So it was brewed by Falstaff in New Orleans, which also went out of business in 1979. The last Falstaff brewery closed down in 1990. But anyway, that's just, but yeah, I remember those. They even had a beer that was a white label called Beer, generic beer. Yeah, I remember, but I don't remember. I never tasted them. Mr. Thrifty Beer. Another one of those generic beers that might have been sold in different stores. New Orleans, Louisiana. Thrifty, yeah, Royal Brewing Company, 70119. Falstaff. Royal Brewing was bought by Falstaff a long time ago. Do they still make Royal beer? I seriously doubt it, but watch me go to the store tomorrow and see it. All right, here we go. I can still get grocery store brand whiskey, though, and rums. True story. I can still get store brand whiskey and rum, private label, like you're talking about, generic. Interesting. Thanks. Oh, you're welcome. Um, I might bring some of that. I did bring Albertson's rum. No, sorry, Albertson's brandy in the past, but I ran out of it and they stopped making it. And I brought in Albertson's rum. I still have some of that. And I had Albertson's Canadian whiskey, and that's all gone. But I think it's all been wiped out. because Albertsons was bought out by a larger company and they own a bunch of different store chains. You know what I mean? Like Jewel Osco and Super Value and all this. Well, they can't sell Albertsons at Super Value and they're not going to sell Albertsons at Jewel Osco, but they might sell Bandolero, uh, you know, tequila and Canadian Crest, Canadian whiskey, and Kings Bay rum. And you'll see it at all those stores. Like if you go to Albertsons, Jewel Osco, Amigos, maybe now Brookshire's, because I think, oh, Kroger, I heard, who was it? Kroger bought Albertsons or they're trying to buy them. So, yeah, that's a brand that, you can sell it anywhere. Apparently, even not at Albertsons, because I saw Kings Bay and Bandolero at Star. And I know Star gas station is not owned by them. All right, anyway, back to this. This smells like a corn, sweet corn, and a little rye whiskey, that sharp, peppery nose, pepper. And it also smells like some oak barrels and some nuts like almonds or walnuts. I don't know. It's definitely got that Sazerakian aroma, which I like. Like, it's a house style, but yeah. Well, let's go over here. Come on, focus, you fool. I shouldn't call the camera a fool. There we go. It's just irritating, it doesn't focus. All right. Oh, well. Now this has that sherry wine, like I don't know about cream sherry. I'm not gonna say cream sherry, but maybe dry sherry, or I can go to some place and get what they call cocktail sherry. Cocktail sherry. Whoa. Maybe this is the Sazerac, the Northern Lights. Now, if you go to a store and you see a product called the Northern Light singular, and it looks the same as this, don't get all in shock because they might still make it in two variants. You know what I'm saying? They might sell it in some places as the Northern Light. Apparently, the trademark question is a little tricky on that. But it's probably going to have that maple leaf that does the reflection. Okay, the Aurora Borealis. Well, this is pretty tricky over here because the appearance is about the same. No, this one's lighter. This has got to be the Sazerac, the Northern Lights. Look how light it is. And that one's much darker, which means extra age from Diageo Crown Royal. You say, oh, you mean extra caramel color. Well, maybe. But I remember the Northern Lights being pretty gold light. Like they're not adding color in. Like they might be adding color in, but it is pretty light. Okay, gold. All right. So it's got that weird sherry note. So I'm thinking that's got to be the Northern Lights. But really, at this point, we're not at the tasting point yet, but we're about to be. Are we really justifying the $35 extra? No, not yet. But now when the taste comes in, it's going to kill it. All right, here we go. Get ready for disaster. All right. Well, yeah, I'm getting the intense woodiness, but not as intense as I had thought. I'm getting the corn whiskey, rye whiskey, maybe a little wheat whiskey, even barley malt, single malt, like they call it in Scotland, single malt whiskey. Probably no more than 5% of the, maybe 10%. Although I doubt it. Of the percentage. The whole, but and nuttiness, but it's not as profound as I thought. Oh, this got me troubled. Let's go with the taste over here. Okay, that's the Sazerac. That's the Northern Lights. All right. See, when I first tried it and I picked up that sherry note, then I was like, that's the Northern Lights. Could they add sherry to it? Legally, yes. You might say, no, that's not pure whiskey. Hate to tell you this little dirty secret. But a lot of these whiskeys are not pure whiskey. You say, you lie. Oh, I'm lying. If I'm lying, okay, you say I'm lying. Let's take a little walk. You want to take a little walk with me down to the Tax and Trade Bureau, and let's open up the glossary of distilled spirits, and let's read the handbook, and let's read the section called type and class. Oh, I'm sorry, I have it backwards, right? Class and type. The class would be whiskey. The type would be Canadian whiskey. Okay, let's take a little walk and see if I'm wrong. Okay, now you say, well, what if it's straight bourbon? Okay, now that's a type. It's a type of whiskey. It's called straight bourbon. Not allowed to have coloring or flavoring added. Okay, but that's that type. You say, what about straight rye whiskey? Once again, not allowed to have coloring and flavoring added. Straight rye whiskey. Are we dealing with straight bourbon or rye whiskey here? I don't think so. Oh, right. We're dealing with Canadian blended whiskey. Right. Which is not even under the purview or the control of the United States government. Because if you read the Tax and Trade Bureau website, it says the whiskey is produced in pursuance of the laws of Canada, not the United States. It's just imported here. So then you would have to reference their laws and regulations, which, ding, ding, you got it, allows flavoring and coloring. Ronnie S. says, good evening, good sir. Good evening to you. I remember David would bring up the same beer tasting. Let me try to read this right. I remember David would bring up the same beer tasting different in can versus bottles. Do you ever notice a difference in whiskey that's in plastic bottles? It seems that the alcohol would act as a solvent. No, I never do. And the plastics industry is, very advanced. So they're not, those PET, that's what it stands, PET, polyethyl tide, whatever, tri, blah, blah, blah. It's designed to where the whiskey is not going to affect it. You say, well, save it 100 years. Save it for 100 years and see. Okay, let's do that. I'm going to save some for 100 years. And then in a century, we're going to check and see. I don't think it was a practical experiment. But honestly, I have not noticed a difference in the flavor. If I had noticed a difference, I'd be the first to say it. Who are those pretty ladies in the picture? Over here? I don't know. It's just on a Catholic calendar that they give away at the church. So it's like a mother and the daughter for Mother's Day. Mom and love. So, May, so it's Mother's Day. And then next month, it'll be a different theme. Oh, yeah. Naturally, Father's Day. There's the dad with the children, the churn. All right. So there's your answer. They give those away every year and around, December. So I get a calendar every year. And then it's got the dates. You say, well, that makes sense. It's got dates. It's a calendar. You know what I'm saying? Like the Catholic dates, like the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, so that you know when to go to Mass, like if it's during the week. and it's a holy day of obligation, things like that. And it's got different saints. Like today was the feast of Saint Isidore. Isidore. I don't know who Saint Isidore is, but I could research it. No sign of orangey. Nah, no orangey since January 4th, and there ain't gonna be no orangey. Sorry, I was sorry she left. Well, sorry and not sorry. Sorry that I missed the cat because she was so cute and nice. Not sorry that she kept me up all night and I never could get sleep. And secondly, she would tear things apart. Okay, let's get down to this. This is going on long enough. Um, Sorry, not sorry. Right. Sorry in one way and not sorry in another way. You know what I mean? Like there's two sides to it. It was a stray cat anyway. I told the old lady around the corner, I said, do not feed the cats. They're not going to leave. Oh, I don't even like those cats. I said, well, you got a bag of food. Orange would hang around over here. I wasn't feeding her. I never fed her. I said she could eat squirrels, rats, mice, which was the whole game plan anyway. She can find water. But the old lady, or then the old lady died in 2021. And then the cat's showing up on the porch like, where's my food? And I'm like, I'll feed her. Because I have a good, I feel sorry for the animals. Um, is it worth the $35 extra? That's the question of the hour. I'm not really sure about this. I'm not. Is it better? Yeah, it's better. It better be better. It ought to be better. You're paying extra money and a good deal amount. So yeah, you can tell them apart, and the Northern Light or Northern Lights, as my bottle says, is not as good. But should you really pay the extra $35? I'm going to give it a little more taste. Sugary sweet, but all whiskey tastes like sugar water to me. It's very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. But very important but the Northern Light is not light/lights. The Northern Lights is also very nice in its own little idiosyncratic way. So, me personally, if I was buying, I could buy 4 bottles. Now, let's think about this for a minute. I could buy 4 bottles of this. Sorry about the glare. I can buy 4 bottles of this for every 1 bottle of this. 4 of these for 1 of these. I'm thinking I don't really want to pay for 1 of these if I could get 4 of these. Once again, I'm not over here talking about how it's better or it's just as good. I don't live in a dream world. I know it's not as good. I get that. I'm well aware after drinking this much of, well, my friend David took a big hunk of it with his massive pour. You'll see that on the duo review. I said, oh yeah, you don't like it, but don't hesitate to pour that much. But I don't know. I just think I'd rather just go 4-to-1. I'd rather get 4 bottles of an inferior product than the one that's better. I mean, the one is better. It's better, okay. But I mean, it is 4 bottles, And it's not bad. I'm not going to sit here and talk about, oh, the Northern Lights, that stuff's trash. Oh, no, it's not trash. Now you say, oh, yeah, it is trash. Well, I don't agree with you. Okay. I don't think it's trash. It's not lighting up my world with Northern Lights. It's not the Aurora Borealis of my life, but I like it. I do. Like, literally, I like it. Okay. Sorry. I like it. And it's a trade off, common sense. It's a trade off. You pay in less and getting less, but you're getting more because you bought four bottles for the price of one on the other end. So it's a extremely mismatched trade off. So if you pin me down, I would say, okay, I would buy the four bottles of the Northern Lights rather than buying the one bottle of Crown Royal Reserve, even though the Crown Royal Reserve has more cachet, credibility, in people's minds and all of that. And it's more giftable. You give a gift of it. It's in the pretty box with the bag, and people say, "Oh, it's so delightful." And if you brought them four bottles of this for the wedding, they'd be like, "Ooh, you went cheap." And I'm just like, "But you're getting four bottles." I don't know. I can't explain it. I'm just telling you what I think. I'm going to read the comments and we're going to close out. I'm going to try to come back tomorrow with another 1972 edition, which is also a good competitor. It's going to be the same kind of quandary, as we say. It's going to be Canadian Limited. You say, oh, from Sazerac, of course. Well, yeah, it's from Sazerac, of course. And it's probably going to be the same result. It'd be like, it's not as good, but then you could get four bottles. Well, actually, you can get more than that because Canadian Limited, I can find that for such a low price. It's unreal. Let's see, 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 5 is 40. Yeah. $5. 5 bottles. Oh, yeah, I'm going to tell you right now what I'm going to tell you tomorrow. I'll tell you the answer. All right, let's go to the comments. Okay. Important comments. KS says, are there any major differences in Canadian versus American blended whiskeys? Any formulation differences? It's a great question, and the answer is yes and no. And I'll explain what I mean by that. I'm trying to get this to focus. Okay, yes and no. Yes, there's a difference in this sense. Canadian whiskey must all be aged at least 3 years. Okay, so it doesn't matter what whiskey you use. You can use rye whiskey, corn whiskey, or as they say, grain, but they mean corn. Rye whiskey, corn whiskey, wheat whiskey, barley malt whiskey. Doesn't matter, and the percentages don't matter. That's irrelevant. But all of those whiskeys have to be aged at least 3 years in oak barrels. New oak, used oak, doesn't matter. Your choice. Decide. You can add flavoring or not add flavoring. Once again, your choice, but you can't exceed the percentage. All right. So you could go really cheap and use corn spirits. You say, I ain't adding no flavor. I'm not adding any coloring because I'm going super cheap and I'm making this Canadian whiskey. Fine, go ahead. As long as you age it 3 years in wood, oak, you got it. Doesn't mean anybody's going to buy it. It might taste nasty, but it will be Canadian blended whiskey. Okay, American blended whiskey. Same story. You can blend any kind of grains you want. Doesn't matter if it's grain. You could make You could literally make whiskey from rice. There's a company in Louisiana that makes rice whiskey. Blend them all together, but it ain't cheap. Blend them all together. Sell it. You want to add flavoring? Fine. You want to add coloring? Fine. Now, there's some rules about the flavoring. Can't exceed 2.5% NT. It says NTE, not to exceed 2.5%. You can add caramel coloring for consistency in the coloring. You don't have to add it. You can add it. You don't have to add the flavoring. You can add it. It's up to you. I've had some that are clearly not flavored because they're very kind of sharp grain. Maybe you could say bitey. The color is very light, like nearly clear and that kind of stuff. All right. But here's the difference. Here's the difference. In the United States, you are allowed to use up to 80%. This might sound incredible to Canadians. In the United States, you are allowed to use up to 80% unaged grain spirits as long as you blend it with at least 20% straight whiskey. You say 20%, 80% grain, unaged grain spirits. Right. You take grain like, say, corn, you distill it, you got it at 80 proof, you never aged it for 10 seconds in an oak barrel. You could age it, it's up to you. But let's say you never aged it, it's raw. People say that's moonshine, right? What they call moonshine. Raw, unaged, clear, odorless, colorless, ethanol. You blend it with 20% straight whiskey, usually bourbon. You could use corn whiskey, doesn't matter as long as it's straight. Blend it, bottle it, and there you go. American blended whiskey. Now you might say, wow, that would taste kind of rough. Yeah, go buy some of them. You'll see that it is. That's why people add a bunch of tomato juice to it or milk. Or I know somebody says grandma drinks whiskey with milk. Or they'll mix it with orange juice or pineapple juice. Yes, it's kind of, it ain't too like these two, it ain't too drinkable on its own. No, I mean, all right. So yeah, that's the main difference. The Canadian whiskey has to all be aged at least 3 years. In the US whiskey, if you don't want to age it, you can use 80% unaged grain spirits. Sounds crazy, but that's the law. That's the law. Can you believe this, cowboy? All right. Saint Isidore is the patron. Try this again. Saint Isidore is the patron saint of students. Oh, Ron, you're a teacher of all history and culture of beer, ale, and spirits. Right. So it fits. My favorite Canadian whiskey is 40 Creek. Oh, Greg, get ready, because I have 40 Creek coming up in a major taste challenge versus Crown Royal Reserve. Will 40 Creek win? No, it won't win in a technical sense, but it will win probably in a practical sense, in the sense that you can buy 40 Creek for $20 and the Crown Royal Reserve is going to be $45. So yeah, I'd rather save the $25. Big Ron, says Paul Cardenas. Keep videos these coming. Keep videos these coming. The player you are, the smoker you drink. Okay, I love me some Canadian blended whiskey. I'm glad to hear that. And Burley Sullivan says, you. All right, well, that's it. So we did a major taste challenge. And the way I see it is that I'm gonna go with the this is a personal thing. This is not an official thing. This should not be taken as an industry standard. But look how dark it got. In my case, I'm gonna stick with the Northern Lights because I can get 4 bottles. I can get 4 of these bottles for the price of 1 Crown Royal Reserve, and I would just rather have 4 of these than 1 of those because I'm not going to hate it. See, that's the point. I would enjoy it. I like the product. If I hated the product, yeah, that'd be a different story. So I like the product. It tastes good to me. And, I prefer the Crown Royal Reserve, but, I could suffer a little bit if one should call that suffering. So, yeah, there you go. When are you going to try ice beers again, or are you done with ice beers, says Paul? No, I'm not done with ice beers. I haven't bought any ice beers lately because I've been buying Milwaukee's, what do you call that stuff? Milwaukee's Best Light, because I've been doing a lot of light beer. I've been drinking a lot of light beer. Ice beers was just getting next to me too much. Like, I was getting natural ice, and you say, oh, no, you can't buy natural ice because of who owns it. Okay, all right. But I was buying 30 packs of that, but I find it was too strong. I mean, the flavor was good. I liked the flavor. I enjoyed it. I never had a problem with natural ice. I like that strong kind of, it characterful flavor. Like it was full of character. You know what I'm saying? Like some people say, "Oh, I don't like," but it is good. It is actually is good. I've been to games like the Major League Baseball games. I see people drinking it. You know, in the parking lot before the game. But I find it was too strong. Like I'd be like, "Oh man, this stuff is like getting me looped up because 5.9." And then I'm doing all these taste challenges. Oh, let me work on this other project. Let me do this other project. Before you know it, you in La La Land. And I don't want to be in La La Land. And I find that Milwaukee's Best Light, which is actually $1 cheaper for a 30 pack anyway, is much lighter, has a nice taste anyway. So that's what I was gravitating towards. You understand? But I like ice beers. I'm probably the biggest internet person for like ice beers in the world, right? Who champions ice beers more than me? Okay, let's close this out. I've been beers are hitting too hard. Ice beers are hit, yes. Always learn a lot from your videos, says KS. Thanks. You're welcome. Paul Gardina says beer. Tommy Carroll says cheers, Louisiana liquor reviews. Always preferred Keystone Ice over natural. I did too, but they discontinued Keystone Ice, so it's hard for me to buy a product that no longer exists. That's always a problem. I can't find Milwaukee's Best Light in Southern California, says Paul. I'm sorry to hear that because I can go right there 1 mile away. Oh, sorry, half a mile. And get a 30 pack tomorrow morning for $19.99. Oh, sorry, 1996. 1996. Yes, definitely. And it's an enjoyable product. All right, y'all take care. And so in a technical sense, in a purely technical sense, Crown Royal Reserve, Special Reserve wins. But in an overall sense, all things considered, I'm going to stick with the Northern Lights. That'll upset a lot of people, and I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to upset anyone. That's a great deal. A winner, says Paul. You're right. Enjoy the decline. Thoughts on Chronicles? You talking about like Canadian Club Chronicles? They come out once a year. It's like 29-year age, 30 years age, 31-year age. My thoughts is that probably would love it, but I don't really want to pay $300. Is it going to be worth the $300? I mean, I don't know, but I've seen it. I'm sure it's amazing. I saw the Crown Royal Noble Barley yesterday. No, today. I saw a Crown Royal Noble Barley. Beautiful bottle, everything. But it's $70. No, it's $79.99. It's $80 minus a penny. Do I really want to pay $80 for Crown Royal Noble Barley whiskey, all barley malt, like all single, basically Crown Royal single malt? I don't know about that. Do you prefer Busch Light or Natural Light? Thai or Bud Light? Yeah, I don't drink Bud Light. A Busch Light or Natural Light? I'll probably go with Busch Light. It has a little bit more flavor, but not much more. All right, y'all take care. Bye bye. See you at dawn.